Hello. This is going to be my Christmas present this year to all my current and former yoga students. It will be on my Patreon page for those patrons and subscribers, and then I'm going to just keep it public for a little bit as my little present to everybody. So this is Deep Stretch. Deep Stretch was one of my most popular classes that I taught when the studio was open. And people just love it, and I love teaching it, and I love doing it. And back when I really got heavy into yoga, Deep Stretch was one of the main classes that I took a lot because I had such a draw to it to slow me down, but then to really see my body changing from the beginning to the end of the class. Was really fun and exciting. So this class is going to focus on shoulders and hips, which are two of the main parts of the body that get tight, especially from stress and feeling resistant to what's happening in the moment. That's where we start to build it. We also attribute the shoulders and hips being tight to suppressed emotions, and so it's a good time to release things. And letting things go can cause emotion to kind of be drawn up and out of you. So if you feel sad and you want to cry, cry. The cool thing is you're at home. Even if you've been at the studio, it would have still been cool to cry, but you're home, cry if you want to. It can make you angry. It could make you really happy. Who knows? You could be suppressing joy because you're afraid to be too happy because something bad might be looming around the corner. So if it makes you want to laugh or smile, whatever it is, just go with it and do it. So let's start in the position I'm in right now. Oh, I have 2 blocks and a strap for this practice. So this is what we call Sukhasana, or easy pose. So the right leg is in front of the left, and let's just sit tall for a moment and close the eyes. You can let your hands rest with your palms down on the knees. If you're not comfortable sitting this way, climb up and sit on a block or grab a blanket or pillow in your house and sit on top to relieve some pressure in the hips and knees. And then just breathe. So let me do all the work and you keep it simple. Just breathe and listen and be. If anything I invite you to try doesn't feel right for you, then just say no and do something else or do nothing at all. Take about 3 more soft, even breaths here. In and out through your nose. Flutter your eyes gently open, and holding on to the knees, pull your heart forward. Use your arm strength to arch. And then round your back, gaze towards your navel, melt your shoulders. Inhale, lift. And exhale, contract. Just because we're stretching doesn't mean we aren't also strengthening and utilizing our strength to stretch. So feel the back contract and then feel the belly contract. And do this flow one more time. And then come back to your center. This is where you can find your blocks, and we're just gonna walk out into a forward fold. So if you were sitting on your block and you needed it, maybe see if you can find a pillow, or you can do this with only one block as well. You can turn it to the side. So just bring the blocks out in front of you wherever you need them to be, and they can support your hands, and you can stay in more of a diagonal line and a lifted spine and heart, or you could start to come down into a rounded spine after a lengthened spine, resting on the forearms with your blocks. If your arms can come all the way to the floor, you can also put your head on your blocks. And they go in 3 different levels, and you can stack them too. So, you could put your head on those stacked blocks as well. And then see if you can rest your palms up if that's possible. Be in receiving mode, just to receive
some new thoughts, some new feelings, some new anything. And as you're breathing slowly, maybe now start to extend your exhale a little longer than your inhale. See what you can let go of.
We're going to come to a flat back, and then you can slide your blocks over to your left, like a little diagonal to you. Lengthen your back again and fold.
Again, hands or forearms
Or
forehead resting. So when we've moved over here to the left side, you're going to probably feel more of a stretch, more sensation in the right hip. So try not to tense up around that. Try to breathe into it. Having sensation is part of what keeps us in the moment. If you were just like, oh, this feels like nothing to me, your mind would definitely want to wander somewhere where it's a little more challenging. So just be in that sensation. Don't work away from it or avoid it, but definitely don't go toward pain. And take it to a flat back.
and walk your hands up before coming to center. So from here, take your right leg and just sweep it around behind you. So your left is in the front now in a little Z sit. So adjust, sit up on something if you need to. And then I'm going to bring my blocks back in front, and I may adjust them differently, but we're going to take a little eagle arm or a hug. So take your arms out to the sides widely, and then bring the right under the left as high above the elbows as you can. Start with a hug and just see how this feels. If this is already pretty intense for you, then you're going to stay right here. If you've got some space, you might just raise your hands. They may not touch. If the backs of the hands touch, that's great. If the palms can touch, then fine there too. And then think of your elbows coming up in line with your shoulders and your pinkies pressing forward if you're in this full eagle. We're going to stay upright first. Eagle is one where my eyes don't really know where to focus, so I love to close my eyes on this one. Closing your eyes is also great in any pose because it brings you more inside of yourself. Now, finding length in the spine and a little strength in the belly, start to tilt forward. And then if you can, rest your arms, if they're an eagle, on the blocks. You can do this stacking your blocks, say you're in your hug, and you might want to just put the elbows on the blocks, or you can bring your head down and keep hugging yourself here as well. Explore. Maybe you find some other way that I haven't even suggested that really works best, where you're getting a shoulder opener and a gentle hip opener here as well. Try to let your neck go. Use your core to transition out. Slowly come up and unwind the arms. So before we go to the other side, let's stretch into staff pose and find your strap. So you can take your blocks just to the side for right now, and then have your strap behind your back. You can wrap it around your hands. I tend to like to wrap it around my hands so I don't have to grip anymore. Feet are just extended out and flexed. Lift your heart and lift your hands. So this is going to help open into the fronts of the shoulders and the chest. And just sit nice and tall. This is also a great way to neutralize the hips. We've already done a lot of hip opening with those first two poses. Hold your gaze steady and still, or close your eyes softly and just breathe. And then let the arms melt, and you can slide your strap to the side. And then coming back to Sukhasana, easy pose. Now with your left leg in front. So I sprained my ankle and my foot doesn't want to come out of flexion. You don't have to have a flexed foot. If you look at mine and think you need yours to look like that, you don't. So just sitting nice and tall and hands on your knees. Close your eyes. Take a cleansing breath here. Deeply in through the nose. Fully out through the mouth. Begin to cow and cat. So arch the back and inhale. And round the back, exhale. So I will invite you to just go up and down like this, or to do a circle. It's called a circular cat and cow. Your head gets to move around, your shoulders get some freedom. You push and pull with the hands a bit. And if you're doing a circle, then begin to circle the other way. And just keep breathing, no spaces, no holding of the breath. Think of your breath like ocean waves. There's never a stop, always a flow. And take one more. And bring it back to your center. So once again, you can have your blocks out in front, exploring different heights and configurations, knowing your sides are different. So with a long back, start to lengthen, maybe bring the hands out. This might be it and you want to stay. Or you can come to forearms. You can bring the forearms to the floor and come to forehead. If you don't need blocks, of course, move them out of the way and go straight to the floor. We're all different. We're in different places. We've had different lives and experiences, along with the fact that we were all given a different body. See if you can float your palms up and just be here in receiving mode. Hear the sound of your breath and let it soothe you. Come back to a flat back, and then take your blocks with you over to the right diagonal. Once again, find a flat back and lengthen in this twist, and exhale, fold. Hands or forearms or forehead on your blocks. Notice if your shoulders creaked by your ears. If so, just let them fall. No need for tension there here. Maybe breathe into the left hip, because that may be where you're feeling the most sensation right now. Send our breath there as a way to relax, as a way to send love and attention, to let that space know, like, I hear ya, and I'm being mindful, and I'm doing this for your own good. Slowly come through a flat back and rise up. Back to your center. So we'll have our blocks again in front, and sweep your left leg around in the back. So now the right leg is in front in this Z-sit position. Take your arms out to the sides and sweep your left under as high above the elbows as possible. And you can start with this hug and then press shoulders and elbows down. If this doesn't feel like much of a stretch, then you explore variations of eagle. And at first we'll keep ourselves upright. If you do have full eagle arms, lift the elbows, press the pinkies forward. Maybe close your eyes. Lengthen your exhales. And then we'll begin to find a fold here, keeping your arms, if you can, take it down through a flat back. You've got to use some belly strength. And then melt your head. So again, you don't have to do the same variation on this side that you did on the other. You might be feeling sensation in several different places, and your attention might be bouncing around, and that's okay. But maybe just spend, a couple of breaths on one place, and then another few breaths on another space, so it becomes a mindfulness practice. So you're not feeling like your mind is darting around like that monkey mind, like a monkey swinging from vine to vine. We want to be able to control how we think and where our attention goes. And then using your core, look out, think of the chest lifting and come up and unwind your arms. So once again, let's turn into a staff pose and find your strap. I'm going to bring my blocks up on my lap. This is optional. You don't have to if you feel like you're way more flexible in this forward way. You can also lift it a little bit higher by making like an upside down T as well. And then again, take the strap behind your back, wrap it around your hands. So lift your hands up, open the front of the shoulders and chest. And then if you have the space, you can bring your head down, which will allow you to bring your hands even higher. Keep reaching with each exhale a little bit more, like millimeters at a time. And then float it up. And then take your strap again and just place it to the side. And bring your blocks up to the front of the mat. And we're going to find our way over to the belly. So just sweeping your legs to either side. Flip all the way over onto belly and hips. We're going to take a half dragonfly, half frog pose. So you can kind of wiggle over to the left side of your mat more, so that when you bring your right knee out, you have a little more cushion. If you are a little sensitive here, you can grab a blanket or a very thin pillow and put it up underneath your knee. You can also kind of double up your mat. And then we want to see if we can get the knee up in line with the hip and then the ankle down in line with the knee. That's half frog pose. Half dragonfly, we're going to do our right arm under the throat and chest. Like get it way up under the chest if you can. Palm is down, and then you can take a block and put it right at the edge of your forehead, and then the left arm is going down by your side on the floor. Make sure both of your palms are facing the floor. If you don't need a block here, you can bring your forehead down. Just make sure that you're way over your arm with your throat and your chin. And breathe. Once you find yourself in the shape, then all you have to do is breathe. Remember to try to keep it simple.
gravity is helping you out, so try to give into it. Let your left shoulder get really heavy.
To slide your right leg back under and slowly take your right arm out. So in between our sides, we're going to grab the strap again and bring it behind the back, just like we did in staff. Hold it in your hands, and if you can, wrap it around the hands so you don't have to grip. And then glue your big toes together. We're going to come up into a locust pose. If you don't want to lift the legs and you just want to do the upper body, that's fine. So the upper body would be lifting the pinkies, and hey, it's fine if you want to keep your head and chest down too. Or lift your head and chest, or lift your feet and your legs, keeping them extended. So you choose any of these variations, but if you can, keep your arms lifted so you get that nice shoulder opener. Try to feel some elongation in your neck. It's always harder to breathe when you're on your belly and a back bend, so conscious breathing. And slowly release it. And again, just take your strap to the side. And we'll wiggle over to the right side of the mat to do our other side, half frog, half dragonfly. So the left knee is going to come way up, align it with your hip at least, and then bring your ankle down underneath your knee. 90-degree angles everywhere. Then it's our left arm. It's going to go way up under the chest and throat. And you can put your forehead on the edge of a block and bring the right palm down by your side. If you don't need a block, then bring your forehead to the mat. Make sure you're over your arm. The heavier your right shoulder, the more your left shoulder will open. You're probably going to be a little tighter on your dominant arm. We're still belly breathing, so you're pushing your belly down into the mat as you inhale. Slowly lift your head. Slide your arm and leg back underneath and find the strap. Grab it in your hands, behind your back. And same options, glue your big toes together. You don't have to do the same option that you did the first time. So it could be just hands, it could be head and chest, it could be legs. Breathe. Strong focus and concentration. The more we stay focused on what we're trying to do, the more effective everything we do on the mat will be. And you'll see those results in a deep stretch. That change from the beginning to the end. Lower softly down. Take the strap to the side. Press your hands underneath your shoulders and come up to a table. So lining up, your knees under your hips, your wrists under your shoulders. Just take a few cows and cats here. It's just a great place to loosen the spine. So our focus today is hips and shoulders. But in any class and every day, we need to make sure that we do loosen the spine. One more. And then bring it back to the center. You may want to have your block and strap handy, maybe both blocks. Take your knees very, very wide, like the edges of your mat are even wider than that. Bring your big toes together and sink back into a child's pose. Extend your arms, rest your head. If it doesn't land on the mat, put it on a block or a little pillow or blanket. And then we'll go to tent fingers. So pressing your fingertips down, lift your wrists, your palms, your elbows off the floor. Feel like your chest is melting. And then let your hands and arms release. Start walking your hands back. So we're going into saddle pose. If this is not a great place for you, you can take a block or two and slide them under you to sit on. You can even put them like on top of your feet to bring you higher. You can open the toes if you need to. And then you can find a strap. If it ends up you don't need it, then you just let go of it. So put it in your right hand and lift your right hand over your head. Then bend the elbow behind you and let the strap hang. Take your left arm from under and find the bottom part of the strap, bringing your hands as close together as you can and pressing your elbows back. And just breathe. Try to calm yourself with breath. Hold your eyes in one place or close them. So if you didn't need the strap, you could always hook your hands together. These are called Gomukhasana arms, which means cow's face. So release your bottom hand and then your top hand. Lay the strap down, come back out to your hands, and then bring your knees in about hips distance apart. And just to stretch our feet the other way, tuck your toes underneath you. And then press your hips over your heels. You can start with just forearms on the mat. Maybe your head can come all the way down. Look at your feet if you can through your legs and make sure your heels don't fall out like mine were just doing. You want your heels to be straight up to get good foot alignment. Then if you have some space for this, extend your arms further and bring your palms together. Little prayer hands out here. And then you can stay, or you could bend the elbows and bring your thumbs back toward your neck. Let your arms release, slide your hands underneath you, press up. So you can untuck the toes if they're tucked, sitting back in rock pose. So you can just bring your hips right over your heels, have your strap close. You could also bring a block between. If neither of those are good for your ankles or knees, then just come up into a kneeling position. And then take your strap this time in your left hand and reach your left hand above your head before bending it behind your back. Then take your right arm from under and then walk the hands as close together as you can. Pull the elbows back. Feel really tall in your posture. Breathe. If your hands can hook and bind, then go for it. Let go of the strap. Not forcing anything. We just want to see how deeply we can open. And every day is different. We don't compare ourselves to others, but even more importantly, we don't compare ourselves to previous selves. We can't go, oh man, I used to could do this. Oh, I feel so bad about myself now. That's not a good way to look at it. It won't encourage us to keep getting on the mat. So just be where you are right now with lots of appreciation, love, gratitude, contentment. And then you can release your bottom hand, and then swing it around, release the top hand. And then find your way up to table again. And let's take a few more cows and cats. Free to do circular cows and cats here in table if you want to. So it's just like when we were seated. You move in a circle, the shoulders and the head, totally free. Going in circles, then reverse the direction. One more time. And then bring it to the center. Really press into the fingertips. Tuck the toes, lift your knees, take your chest towards your thighs, and then extend your legs, finding your downward facing dog. So take a moment. We haven't done a ton of hamstrings. So if you want, maybe pedaling out your feet. Did do rocking saddles. That one was deep flexion of the knees. So it's nice to do a down dog afterwards for the knees. And then just take about 3 more breaths here in some stillness. On an inhale, bring the right leg up high. And on an exhale, bend your knee and drop your heel, peeking under your right arm. Keep your knee lifting. You don't ever stop trying to get the knee higher and the left heel lower. Chest is back and weight is equal in your hands. Then inhale and lift your leg even higher. Exhale, draw the knee into a cheetah and step the foot between your hands. If it doesn't land there, pick your ankle up and bring it up till it does. Softly bring your left knee down and untuck your toes. And this is where you may want to have blocks on the inside of your right foot. And you can place your hands on the blocks, checking that the knee doesn't go beyond the ankle. You could bring your forearms to the blocks. You could even bring your forearms down and have your head on a block or nothing on a block. Just really releasing your back thigh. We're working into loosening the front of our left hip. Now we're going to add a little more into the outside of the right hip by rolling over to the blade of the right foot, letting the right knee point more out to the corner or the side. You may even want to give more of a shift to your right to bring more sensation and opening there. So in this pose, lots of things are going on at once. Stay calm. And then lower your foot, place your hands down. Make sure your strap is handy. We're going to tuck the back toes and lift the knee. Then hop your left foot slightly out on that slippery and lower your heel into a 45-degree angle. And then we're going to grab the strap on our way up to Warrior One. So we're in our Warrior One feet. We'll take our strap behind the back again. Bring your hands pretty close, as closely as you can. Push this front knee forward. Find a back bend, so slide your hands down the back of your left thigh. Pull up through your belly, lead with your heart inside of your right leg, and let your head release as your hands float up. You
You gotta keep your belly pulled in, and then try to pull your right hip back. Engage your back leg so you don't feel dumped in on the front leg. And then let your hands just release. You can lay your strap down. Frame your front foot, spin back to the ball of your back foot and step into a plank. Slowly from your knees or toes, chaturanga. Inhale into a cobra, just a nice little back bend. Lower back down, press to table. And then tuck your toes, chest back, lift your knees, downward facing dog. As you inhale, bring your left leg high, and as you exhale, have a slippery mat. As you exhale, bend your knee and drop your heel and peek underneath your left arm. And breathe chest towards your thigh. And inhale your leg up, exhale your knee to cheetah, step between the hands. Remember, you can assist grabbing your ankle and picking it up if you need to. And then slide your back knee to the floor and tuck your toes. You can bring blocks inside left foot. And then your hands might rest on these blocks as you shift. Check alignment of this front shin. It's going to be parallel to your front wall. Or come to the forearms. You can bring the forearms to the floor. You can release your blocks, whatever you want to do. Let gravity do some work for you. You are letting go. Staying here, roll to the blade of your left foot. So roll it over. Your knee will point out toward the corner, and you may want to shift your weight a little to the left. You brought a whole new feeling into this. So breathe slowly, slow it all down. And then lower your foot, come to the hands, tuck the back toes, lift the knee, and spin the back heel flat at about 45 degrees. Warrior one, we're in our train tracks. You can grab your strap, or you could lace your fingers now on this one. So we square to the front, press the front knee forward, and then you could lace the fingers if you're not holding the strap, and slide them down, breathe in, find a back bend. And lengthen your heart, come inside of your thigh, melt your head, pull your left hip back, and lift your pinkies high to the ceiling. Slowly release your hands, place them on the mat, and step back into plank. From your knees or toes, chaturanga. Inhale to a cobra. And exhale, find again your downward facing dog. You can rock your hips from side to side, or you can bend one knee and drop it to the corner, and then the other to get a little into the hips. And then just press into down dog for about 3 long breaths. Let your head really drop. And then rise to tiptoes, bend your knees, look forward, and bring your feet to your hands at the top of the mat. Inhale, lengthen to a flat back. And exhale, forward fold.
Open your arms, lead with your chest, and reverse one leg up. You can gaze to the thumbs, maybe a little back bend, and then hands together at heart center. So let's take a tree pose, and I'll give you some variations on the arms. You can do a prayer here with hands pressing, or for a little more in the shoulders, you can actually bring the forearms and elbows together and then lift your elbows up in line with shoulders. You decide. So lift and spread the left toes out. Make sure your eyes are focused. And then bring the right heel right above your ankle with the toes resting. Bring it to the foot, to the calf, or bring the foot to the thigh. If you do a thigh one, make sure your thigh pushes into your foot as well as your foot and your thigh. And then either just press into the hands or bring the elbows up. Just make sure you keep your eyes. Softly bring it down. So on the other side, if you took these prayer arms, you could do a lotus. So all you do is from the prayer, just open up your fingers so it looks like a little lotus flower bloomed. Just something to have fun with. So spread the right toes out, bring your left foot up to ankle, to calf, or to thigh, just not the knee. And then you choose where you want your hands and your arms. Breathe slowly. Softly bring it down. So find your two blocks and bring them tall height, just right out in front of you, where when you bend over, they're just like right there. Then we're gonna do our standing pigeon balancing pose, and maybe bring the hands down to the blocks. So with your hands at prayer, right against your chest with thumbs, lift the right knee to a stork, and then cross it above your left knee with your foot sticking out the other side and flexing. Then slowly begin to bend the left knee in a chair. Let the right knee melt. And then to get a little more of an opener, you can bring your hands to the blocks and let your head fall. Scoop your belly. You've got to use your abs here. Keep bending your left knee a lot. You want to come back how you came, so look out, make sure the eyes are fixed, hands to the heart, and slowly come out of it into your mouth. And then we'll take it on the left side. So hands to the heart, spread your right toes. Bring your left knee to stork, and then cross it over, foot flexes on the outside. Bending the right knee as the belly scoops. And then you might be able to find your blocks. And that might let you sink deeper into the standing knee. If you are holding on to blocks, then let your head go. You don't have to hold it up unless you just don't feel comfortable there or it bothers your back. Forward and just try to come back the same way you came. And find mountain. Take a cleansing breath. Inhale, lift the arms, maybe gaze up and find a gentle back bend. Exhale, forward fold all the way down. Stay here for a few moments and take a ragdoll. So an elbow in each of your hands and let your head fall down between your arms. Almost feel like your hands are kind of pulling your elbows toward the floor. You can bend the knees a little if you need to. And
And then soften the knees a lot. Keep your arms like this, but roll up. And then lift them over your head. I'll turn to face. So we want to keep ragdoll and just pull the elbows back so that we're trying to get the upper arms behind the ears. Think tailbone toward the floor, crown toward the ceiling. Keep holding onto your left arm with your right hand and then let it drop. If you can, peek up underneath your right arm here. Then bring your left hand down, hold on to the right arm, and then let it go. Let it fall out to the side. And then if you can, peek out underneath your left arm. One more time, bring them back together. We'll face to the top of the mat and then lean back into your heels. Take a little flat back before you contract the belly and drop it all back down. Release your hands, give your shoulders a little shake. And then we're gonna go into a pigeon. So if you put your hands down or you can put them on blocks, step your left foot back. Lower your knee. And start to, and untuck the toes, start to walk your right foot over to the left side of your mat. You can put a block underneath your right cheek as you lower your leg. This will really help you align that back knee to get the toes and the knee flat on the mat. If you don't need it, slide that out and go straight to the floor. You could use your other block in front for your hands, arms, or forehead. If you don't need it, of course, don't use it. They're only here for you as tools, but if you don't need that tool for this pose, then no worries. Shoulders are relaxing. You don't have to stay where you are the whole time, right? Like, so if you start feeling like, oh, I'm getting looser, and you want to go into a deeper variation, then go for it. And vice versa. If you get like kind of anxious and you can't relax and you feel like you've gone into a pose that was too deep, then find a prop or go to a different variation. This is a surrendering pose. See how much you can give into gravity. See what comes up. And then bring your hands underneath you. Tuck your left toes under and just send your right leg to a high three. So lift the back knee and then lift your right leg up. Just that yawns your hip open. Bring your foot to the floor. Shift to a plank, and from toes or knees, come down to your belly. Wiggle to the left side of your mat, and we're going to do the shoulder rollover. So take your right arm directly out from your shoulder, so it's perpendicular to the mat and to your long body. Left hand underneath your shoulder. So if you have a neck issue, prop your head up on a block, and then roll to the right. Your head can rest, or if you want a neck strengthener, you can look up. You could step your left foot behind you if there's room here. You could even step both feet together and both knees up if you wanted to. Just slow everything down. Long exhalations. Slowly roll it
Take your time to draw this right hand under the shoulder and come to a little table. Tuck your toes, lift your knees, chest back and down dog. And then rise, bend your knees and bring your feet to your hands. Inhale, lengthen to a flat back. Exhale, belly in, forward fold. Open your arms and sweep it up, maybe a back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat. Then place your hands down and we'll step into pigeon, so you may want to have blocks handy. Lunge the right foot back. Lower your knee and really wiggle it back there, untucking toes. And then start heel toeing your left foot to the right side of the mat. So you could start with a block under the left cheek to make sure you are aligned in your back leg especially. So we want to make sure, don't worry if the shin is parallel to the top of the mat, but do try to get this so you get into the hip flexor, the back knee and toes on the mat. And then you can fold using a block in front for hands, arms or head, or not. Your sides can be different in the hips too. It isn't like how, we think of having a dominant arm, so it makes total sense. But if you start watching yourself in everyday life, you might notice that you are doing things more on one hip or leg than the other, or even like when you're standing, you might be leaning more into one hip than the other. We even want to watch our gait, how we walk, that we're as equal as we can be, toes forward in the direction we're headed. Give into it. Observe what comes up. If you want to change variations, absolutely do it. And then we'll bring the hands underneath. Tuck the toes, lift the knee, and just yawn this left hip open by finding a 3-point. Lower the left foot, shift into plank, and come all the way down to the belly. Wiggling to the right side of your mat. Take your left arm straight out perpendicular to the body, palm down. Right hand under you to roll over. Prop up your head if you want, blanket or pillow or block. You can keep your legs stacked or step the right foot back. You could put both feet down if you're really loose here. It isn't about the expression of the pose, it's about how it feels inside. It's another good reason to close your eyes, so you're not so focused on how things look, but more focused on how things feel. Slowly roll back to the belly. Take your time, bringing your left hand back underneath. Pressing in to table and then just crossing out your ankles or taking your feet to one side. Have a seat. Sit in staff for a moment. Let everything come back to that neutral feeling. And you can take a cleansing breath or two. reach your fingers forward and slowly roll to the back. If you need to bend the knees and hold your thighs, then take that variation. Be mindful, hollow out, and peel it down. Then just bring one knee and the other in and give your knees a hug, maybe a few rocks. We'll take happy baby. So bring your arms inside of your knees and then your hands wherever you can reach. So it can be shins, it can be ankles, it can be blades of the feet. And then the soles look up and the feet are apart. They're wider apart than you are, wider than your hips. And then just maybe rock side to side. If that feels like too much, then don't rock. If it feels good, then just use the motion to help loosen. Maybe find stillness. Close your eyes. See how you feel. Bring the knees back together, hug it one more time. And then place your left foot down right in the middle of you, kind of aligned with your navel. Cross your right leg way over in an eagle and drop the knees to the left. You could support the inside of your right leg with a block. You don't have to. You could also wiggle your hips to the right to make a little bit more of a twist in the orientation of your shoulders and hips. And then you can look in either direction. Looking right is going to feel more deep. If it's too much, look left or straight up. Slowly find your way out of it. So knees up, hips under, and uncross your legs. Bringing your right foot more in the midline, cross the left leg into eagle. If you'd like, you can wiggle hips left, hip, knees right. You can support your knee with a block. And you can turn your gaze any way you like for the neck. Don't worry about the shoulders. If they're not all the way down on the mat, that's okay. But just let them feel heavy and relaxed. And then take your time to come up out of it. Uncross legs, hips under you, and find Shavasana. So if you want, I love Shavasana this way, you can put blocks under your heels or your knees, or not anywhere if you don't want them. You want to feel good. So just let everything flop open. Make sure you're not touching anything inadvertently around you, like purposefully, put your feet on the blocks. But if they're like touching them, just with like your toes, because they're there, kick those out of the way. Take a deep breath in. Take a long breath out. Leave your lips and your teeth parted, and leave your tongue on the floor of your mouth. Take a deep breath in and a long breath out. And
try to keep this time simple. All it is you on a yoga mat, lying down and relaxing. Start to slowly deepen your breath. And find some movements in your fingers, toes, ankles, wrists. Letting your head fall from side to side. Reach your arms up and just stretch to a long morning stretch here. And on an exhale, draw the knees in and give yourself a big hug. Finding a comfortable way to come to seated. When you're there, just rest the backs of your hands on your knees. Close your eyes still and sit nice and tall. Take a deep breath in one more time. Pause at the top. Pause until you become uncomfortable. Let discomfort be a cue. It's time to let something go. Bring your hands together. Rest your thumbs between your eyebrows. May your thoughts be clear. Rest your thumbs on your lips. May your words be kind. And rest your thumbs on your chest. May your heart be both.